I filmed the video here 4, 5, no way, a long time ago. 4 years ago is when I got my tinnitus. 5 years ago is when I got into the financial troubles. And it's crazy, I'm 25. I moved out here to this location when I was 18, so that was 7 years ago. And then I moved to Poland. But I remember one of my first videos on the Avi channel, the one that eventually rose to over 90,000 subscribers, was filmed actually on this park bench. Well, I don't know about this one. Maybe this one was renovated. The metal for sure was the same, but this is different. Maybe it was painted. Who cares? But a lot of fond memories. So today's video, welcome my friends. My name is Michael, is about great jobs to get when you're a young adult. This is coming from someone who isn't a young adult anymore, turning 26 before you know it. And a lot has happened since I was last living in this location. Well, not on this particular bench, but recording and living not too far away from this bench. A lot has happened. I've been through a lot of jobs, and I've learned what jobs were good, what jobs were bad, what jobs are meh. And right now I'm actually filming right before a job interview. It's at a brand that I absolutely love, Volvo. I'm super excited. It's not my first interview at Volvo, but it's a different store now, and I think we're going back into sales. With that said, car sales, obviously as a car salesman, is a great job for people who aren't going to college, who want to learn sales, who maybe enjoy automobiles, but you don't have to. Most people honestly could care less about automotive and what the actual mechanics are behind those vehicles, and maybe they know a couple things about them, or they like some sports cars or whatever. I don't know anything about, I mean, I know a little bit about the mechanics and whatnot, but you start talking to me about dissecting the engines and what a mechanic should know. I don't know that. I don't know how to change my oil. I'm sure I could learn. It's not too hard, but it's not something I necessarily want to do. With that said, you don't need to know anything about sales. You don't need to know anything about cars to get into car sales. You'll learn as you go. Most dealerships won't provide you adequate training, so it'll just be sink or swim. But thanks to that, you're either going to find out if it works for you very quickly or not. And even if you're terrible, most likely you're going to make $50,000, $60,000, because that's what most people make in car sales. That's like the average right around there. And then you're going to have the 10%, which is going to be 80, 90, 100. Some people are going to be even hitting $200,000 as a salesman. Those people are usually those who've been living in the same location and going to the same dealership for the past 10, 20, 30 years. At the previous dealership I was at, there was a gentleman who was approaching 30 years, and he was one of the oldest salesmen in America to still be with that particular brand. It's not a domestic brand, Infinity. And he had so many awards on his desk, and I thought that was really cool. He had a whole book of clients where he had over 4,300 something clients. He was keeping track of it, and he had a lot of knowledge to share. So that was really cool. He has a book of business that keeps repeating, and even if he went to a different dealership auto group, he could take that business as long as he's local. Like if you move from out of state, I mean, you're probably not going to get that many referrals, maybe a couple. But as long as you stay local, there's some people who do that. Most likely you're not going to get to 100,000 your first year. If you're a college student, if you're going online, like myself, if it's rather easy, like if you're studying astrophysics online, I don't know about that, but if you're studying a business degree, you can definitely do car sales. You're just going to need to hustle. You're going to have to put in your 45 to 50 hours minimum at the dealership, most likely closer to 55, 60, sometimes even 70, 80 hours, and then an additional 10, 15, 20, 30 hours for your education. Or you can do Uber, gig work, or whatnot. But in my situation, it's doable. Now, right now, it's because I also owe a lot of money in debt and bills. That's why it's not really manageable, and I have to work more and, you know, scramble for money each week and figure out ways, and that wastes a lot of time. But for many people who aren't in my situation, if you're a young adult, 50, 60,000, you're just going to be fine. Most of the people I worked with at the dealership from 2 dealerships ago, 18, 19, 20 years old, and for them the money was actually really good, because at that point you might still be living with your parents. You're probably going to be able to afford the car of your dreams, a realistic car of your dreams on payments and whatnot, because you're going to be making a lot of money for people your age who are still studying at college, and maybe you're studying at college, or even if you decide, hey, I'm not going to do it right now, it's a great career path for either advancing further into sales. You can use 2, 3, 4, 5 years of sales, car sales experience, and people know door-to-door sales, phone sales, and car sales, and cold calling. Those are the 4 types of sales that are brutal. Like the retail sales that are brutal, and you either sink or swim, and if you actually are able to succeed, you're probably going to do all right in B2B sales, medical sales, tech sales, if you do get that degree for those last 2, or if you have a bunch of years of experience, or if you became a manager or whatever. There's people who move from car sales to 100,000 plus jobs that are 9 to 5 in sales, that are working for corporate types, and everything's great. So you're certainly able to advance yourself in that way. And also you can do door-to-door sales and phone sales and whatever, but it's not going to be the same, I guess, investment and same reward as car sales. Door-to-door sales is going to be trickier. Phone sales, you're not going to make as much money. And recently the incomes have been dropping. Also for car sales, it is a tough time right now. But it is something you can certainly learn a lot from and use those skills if you are developing in your future business, for your future entrepreneurial efforts, or for any future company you work with. So that leads me to the next point. Gig work. Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, Postmates, Grubhub, I don't know, Amazon, Flex, Spark. There was another one with us. Anyways, there's a bunch of gig work apps in Poland, Bolt and Volt, and there's actually 2 companies, literally one letter just is different about them, and both of them are pretty similar. And there's a ton of these applications out there. Is it great? No, it sucks. But if you're working part-time, and if you're a college student, and you have a car, and you probably aren't paying a lot for your car, it's like an old Honda, Toyota, whatever, even this car, I mean, at the end of the day, I put a lot of miles on it. It's not worth $10,000. It's probably worth like $8,000 or $9,000. That's a car in that price range that honestly I haven't done anything to it. And yes, it does need power steering and brakes. And this is stuff I've been delaying even before DoorDash, Uber, because I just didn't have money to. But my situation is probably not the best example. But honestly, for the most part, this car has been very reliable. Any other cost of maintenance is going to be more expensive. But as long as you're not DoorDashing in like a Chrysler or, you know, a Mercedes or whatever. Not to say that Mercedes is going to be unreliable, but the cost of maintenance is going to be insane. So let's say a BMW, an old 7 Series, or, you know, Chrysler, or any Dodge products really, then you're probably going to be fine. And with that, yes, you're going to have to pay attention to miles and taxes and deductions, and you're going to have to skip a lot of orders. But that's the good part. If you're working part-time, if you're a college student, you can pick and choose. You don't have to get all the bad orders. It doesn't matter if you're aiming for anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. You get to choose your own schedule. You get to do whatever you want. That's a great place to go. So outside of sales and gig work, you also have the normal jobs, you know, working at Starbucks and fast food places and whatnot. And most of them are probably not going to be the best unless you have a goal in mind. So for example, like with Uber, if you want to study online, many people won't care, but Uber does offer, if you maintain acceptance, so that's the tricky bit, you can have free tuition for Arizona State University online, and it's online. So that's a perfect thing. AT&T will pay for 80% of your tuition. That's another huge thing. So if you go to phone sales, Starbucks, also another company that partnered up with Arizona State University, they will pay, I think, 80% or 100% of your tuition. I think it's 80. Still, if you're talking about $80,000 and they pay 80%, that's a huge, huge 5-figure sum that you don't have to worry about as long as you're working there. And on top of that, if you make the 16 bucks an hour or whatever it is, then as a college student, it might absolutely make sense. So you got the normal like coffee shops and pizza delivery and whatever. And what people have posted in the comments, I've been researching, yeah, for like a little weekend gig, super part-time, if you're like 8 to 20, maybe even 30 hours, if you already have a car, even potentially better than gig work is delivering pizza or food from a local mom and pop shop that pays a little bit better at a nicer community. You're going to make a fair amount of money through tips. The next step is, apart from sales and your normal jobs, you're going to have a lot of jobs out there that right now, it's a crazy economy. You probably, if you have a kid and a family and you graduated college, are probably going to be in a bit of a weird spot. You need money, you need to pay your bills. Where the average college kid, if you're living with your parents, yes, you're going to have tuition, but you pay that later. Real estate and going down the path of becoming a mortgage broker, getting your NMLS license is huge, because you are able to invest a couple months without pay for later great results. Yes, you're going to have to hustle hard. You're probably going to have to do online studies, but you certainly are able to go down this path and make a ton of money, because the average 1 to 10%, they're going to make huge amounts of money. Everybody else, they're going to make maybe a livable wage, maybe not. And most people who are in real estate aren't even going to sell one house a year. But again, you're not going to be that average person. If you're getting into this, you want to make money, you want to hustle, you want to grind. It is a great industry. I've known plenty of people who made tons of money, especially becoming a mortgage broker, where it's a little more stable than real estate. It's just, you're going to have to, like any good job without a degree, or while you're working for that degree, or a job that's going to give you that experience. So once you have that degree, or you decide to get a degree in the future, you can use that for a better career path. You're going to have to start from the bottom levels and work your way up. Now, from NMLS, that brings me to bankers. I've been applying for a lot of positions here. In all of these positions, all of these jobs that I'm talking about is stuff I've applied or done or have been doing or whatnot. And right now I got a bunch of offers for banker, bank teller, universal banker 1, universal banker 2. I won't get, but if you're a college student, if you have any cash handling experience, you worked a cash register, you sold cryptocurrency, which is what I've done. You've worked with, I don't know, you sold stuff on Craigslist or eBay. I've done that as well. You flipped stuff, you handled cash for a year, that's perfect. If you've had a little bit of sales experience, marketing experience, anything that can show that you're a professional, banks will love that, and it's gonna be the perfect job. A lot of these jobs pay much higher than these normal, like Starbucks, whatever. So in my area, again, Starbucks, I think is 16 bucks an hour. I saw Ross Dress for Less is like 15. Chicago, it's like 13 is the minimum wage for Illinois. Chicago's like 15.40, but we're outside of the city of Chicago. So again, most of those positions, 13, 14, 15, 16, $17. Some of these bank teller positions start at 17, and most of them are right around the 19. One that I am most likely going to get is for $19.50. There's some that go $20, $21 an hour. It's 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 8:30 to 5:30 or whatever. You maybe work rotating Saturdays, so you close at 2. These are normal hours. It's quiet. It's chill. Yes, you're going to have to invest in a good pair of clothes and whatnot, but this is a career that you're able to start off with. It's going to be very chill, not as stressful as car sales or, you know, door-to-door sales or work at retail or gig work. It's going to be still stressful for the average person, but relatively easy. Again, I haven't done this, but from the research I've done, is if you're coming from car sales or any gig work, anything that you've dealt with a lot of annoying people, you're probably going to be fine as a bank teller. And from there, once you get your degree or once you get some experience, you can move up Universal Banker 1, 2, 3. You can get your NMLS license. You could be an underwriter. You could sell mortgages. You could potentially go further up, become a bank supervisor, manager, a banker, an actual banker. And there's a lot of stuff you could later on do. You just need the experience and degree, or just the degree, or both, and whatnot. And from there, it's a pretty cushy lifestyle later. Again, you're not going to be earning the big bucks, but as a college student or a young adult, you don't really care about that for the moment. So from there, you do have the jobs that I probably wouldn't recommend. Warehouse jobs, unless it's temporary. I've done warehouse jobs. They're going to pay more than the bank teller. You're probably going to make 20, 21, 22, maybe even 25 bucks an hour. Especially if you're working for Amazon, it's going to suck. Working for IKEA, it was fine. Working for Costco, they've got good benefits, but it's not fun. It's very physically demanding. You're going to hate it after a while. And if you're like me, I can't do any of that physical work. Now, for some people, it might be okay, especially if you get your forklift operator license, then you're going to make good money. You're going to have to probably work the night shift. Not the best. A job that could be bad, but could be good, depending on what you make of it. I applied for TSA. I've decided not to do it anymore. Part of it is to do with the hours. I've done a lot of research. If you do TSA, notice that after a couple years, you could go from $42,000 to $65,000 a year. After 2.5, 3 years, you're going to be at $65,000. It's a government job, so once you have proof that you worked great at that job, you could go further into other government agencies and go into a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 cushy job later on, or go into Customs, Border Patrol, or whatnot. And TSA is much, much easier to get into, or USPS, than any of those other government agencies. And you don't necessarily need a degree for that. So there's a bunch of jobs out there, obviously. These are just jobs that I've got either some experience with or have looked into or done research. And the easiest one of them all is to become an influencer, but you're probably not going to be able to do that, or a crypto investor, so that could always be a hobby. But wish me luck. I'm going to do this, and ultimately, end goal is to make 100,000. And I have to actually get ready for this interview now, so let's get home, let's put on my suit, let's go, and everything will be great. So, man, it's so relaxing here. I got the job, I think. Just have to pass the background check, pass my drug test. Background check is not going to be a problem, so we should be good. We should be good. I really hope so, because I want to sell my favorite little babies. S60s, S80s, that's not, well, I'm not really going to see S80s unless it's a used one. But you know what I mean. I'm very excited. I think my passion and the fact that I have a absolute drive to make money right now, because I can't pay any bills. I had just more bills returned, and there's this drive within me to succeed because I need to. Because I need to. So I'm very excited. And the good part about this may be a solution, a better solution than the previous one, is you have a month or two or whatever, however long it takes you for training, of salary, and then you have commission, which is perfect, because I probably would have been in a better spot had that happened at the other job. And by the way, I still haven't received my check, which I thought would get direct deposited last Friday. It's Wednesday. I mean, what's going on here? I kind of need that money, but oh well. Anyways, yeah. So I think we got it. I think we should know by, the next couple days, but I think we got it. So anyways, best of luck with your dreams, with your future job aspirations. If I get this, I'll be super excited, because I wanted to sell Volvos for forever now, and should be good. So thanks. Have a good one.